Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leadership Today. My name is Andy Wilson, and I'm your host today, and I am so excited that you joined us. Thank you so much. As always, Leadership Today is on all your favorite channels, so check us out on any of your streaming channels from Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, LinkedIn, where we always are. So again, thank you. My guest today, I've just got to jump straight into this, Jonathan Kirschner. Welcome to Servant Leadership Today, my friend.
Andy, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here on your show. Feel really honored to be invited to be part of this series and pumped to talk about my favorite topic. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And I will tell you, this is going to be a great series. Today, we're gonna focus on podcast 1. There will be 4 podcasts in this series, and we'll talk about that more at the end. But right now, what I want you to do is meet my friend. I have the opportunity to meet Jonathan over a year and a half ago. We just connected immediately. You know, when you meet somebody, you just know it's gonna work. That's how I felt when I met Jonathan. Apparently, he felt similar because I'm still hanging out with him. So it was working really well. And I'll talk more about the role that I have on one of his boards here in a bit. But right now, I want to introduce you to my friend. You know, Jonathan, you're the founder and the CEO of AIIR Consulting. I would like for you to just take that apart and then tell them a bit about how you got to AIIR from your journey in school and your background and all of that. So let's build that foundation, and then we're going to jump straight into the content.
Thank you, Andy. Well, I'd love to share a little bit about how I got here on this journey. Andy, I was the kid in high school or undergrad that you know, if you set a poll and said, all right, who's going to be a CEO in this classroom, I'd probably fall in last place. I didn't like business. I liked minding my own business. I was a bit of a bookworm. Kind of lived in the library in college, but I do have a passion for 2 things. One is helping people develop and grow, and the other thing that gets me really lit is problem solving, but particularly within the domain of sort of human behavior and human functioning. And so it became clear to me, even a little bit before undergrad, that psychology was going to be the direction that scratches this itch. And I fell in love. I fell in love with psychology, and particularly clinical psychology. Positioned myself to get into a doctoral program, and Widener University, of all the schools I applied, they said, we'll take you. So came out to Philly with my wife and just threw myself at this. Widener has a great program where you're spending, half your time kind of doing research and really immersing yourself in the literature, and the other half is very applied. So you're working with all different types of populations, children, families, adults, every kind of challenge you can imagine, and absolutely loved that work. But then kind of stepped back in my 3rd year and said, if I'm spending every day 8 hours, 9 hours a day, every hour, speaking to people about their problems, that's a lot to carry. And is that sustainable? Might I get burnt out? Could there be some risk in that being a sustainable career, knowing how passionate I am? And so I said, let me take this class in executive coaching. And, maybe, as they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Maybe this would be a way to diversify a little bit. So took the class in executive coaching with a fair amount of skepticism, actually, and really saw like, wow, I could take that skill of problem solving that I love, and also my passion for helping people, and combine it just within this different context. And so I took I went to the next class and the next class. What really hooked me, though, Andy, was understanding what it means to apply wisdom of psychology to leaders. And what became apparent to me, not immediately, but as I really started to understand organizations, is just how powerful it can be when you help a leader become more effective. And the reason is because a leader has so much influence, and so much power. And so if a leader can improve their behavior, it doesn't just stop there. It cascades throughout the organization and the system that leader is in. And so that was, once I really understood that at a very deep level, there was no turning back. And I said, not only did I decide I'm going to really like double down or triple down on executive coaching and organizational psychology, I was thinking about, how do I do this in a way that it doesn't just stop at me? Like, it's not limited by the 5 days in the week or the fact that, I'm awake or asleep. And so the notion of starting a company, which I did in my 5th year of graduate training, really stemmed from this idea that, like, I could create something that scales beyond myself, all with the goal of creating maximum impact. And so that's where I got this idea to start AIIR Consulting. And that was back in 2010. And since then, I've been on the journey. Again, as I mentioned, like, I'm the last person you would have voted to be CEO. So, the journey, wasn't like, let's get, this CEO who he got his MBA and, maybe was a manager for 15 years and climbed the ranks. It was like, I was a complete rookie. And everything I learned was through trial and error and a lot of pain, and a lot of learning, a whole lot of learning. So here I am, 14 years later, and we have a thriving global business. We're supporting leaders, not just with executive coaching, but also through formal leadership development, team effectiveness, and sort of transformational solutions that combine all of these different things to help organizations outperform, to win, to have maximum impact through leaders and through great leadership. So that's what I do. Some days are better than others, but I always wake up pretty energized by the mission and enjoying the ride.
Wonderful. Jonathan, I would say you said so much there, and I want to just remind our leaders what you're leaning into right now. What you're about to hear is, you just heard just a snippet of Jonathan's vision for his company, and we're going to peel back this vision, and we're going to get down underneath some of these elements that he uses in this development, because right now leaders are listening to this, and we all want to get better. We all want to improve. And you've heard Jonathan just talk about what behavior does, how it cascades in the organization, through the family. So, okay, this is just the beginning. You're going to really want to hear this. So stay with us as we continue to peel this back. But Jonathan, before we get into some of your systems and processes and things like that, you have this unique ability to really cast this vision around the year that we're in, 2024, and I'd like for you to talk about this vision that you've talked about, and the title of it caught my attention, and you talked a bit about 23. I think that continues to add them foundational piece to what we're doing here. So let's talk about leadership and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. I'd love to. So it's an interesting thing because in some ways, Andy, like leadership is leadership. From the time of Jesus or Moses to Napoleon to Winston Churchill to our current leaders, there is like a stable evergreen element to leadership, which we define as helping, essentially establishing a compelling vision and achieving it through others, right? So leadership is establishing a compelling vision and achieving it through others. So if there's no vision, it's not leadership. If there's a vision but it's not compelling, it's not going to be great leadership. And if there's a compelling vision but you're doing it and everybody's behind, then it's not great leadership. So that's really how we think about it. And there are certainly some very stable elements that don't change year over year. So for example, like you've got to be able to lead yourself. You got to be able to lead others. You got to be able to understand the system and navigate change and bring forth strategy, right? Those haven't changed. But the context that we find ourselves in do make some things more important than others. And the rapid evolution of the world and technology contribute significantly to that context. And so what we do at AIIR every year is we pulse our leadership experts. So we've got a bench of over 200 executive coaches and consultants who really have their finger on the pulse. They're meeting with leaders, senior executives, CEOs all around the world. We pulse them. And this past year, we also pulsed organizational leaders to say, hey, what are some of the greatest challenges leaders are going to face in the year ahead? And secondarily, like what are the skills that are going to be required to be successful within those set of challenges? And the results this year were fascinating. So what we, the kinds of challenges, Andy, the things that you would expect, right? You've got AI, AI up the wazoo. It's what everybody's talking about. How do we understand this? How do we introduce it? How do we get ahead of it? So AI and just the rapid pace of technological innovation, hybrid workforce and the workforce dynamics that hasn't been nailed down yet for most organizations and CEOs. Navigating the macro, right? So we've got some really challenging economic environment with high interest rates and some just extremely challenging and devastating geopolitical activities going on, particularly, Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, and Gaza. Leading through change, there's so much change. And then lastly, just when you have all that change and you have everything I just described, 1 through 4, the average person, most people are going to feel that, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to experience it. And it's very heavy. And so we're seeing also, a real challenge with well-being and mental health. So that's the backdrop. And when we asked our leadership experts, what are the skills that we're going to need to be successful? There's 7 that emerged out of 45. So we have a 45 skill framework. The 7 that emerged were resilience, navigating change, self-awareness, self-care, prioritization, communication, and trust. So you would say those things are important always, and they are. But there's something about this year of 2024 on the backdrop of some of those challenges I shared that these 7 things are going to be particularly important. The ones that I would highlight the most that really bubbled up even disproportionately to the top were resilience, navigating change, and self-awareness. And so if you said to me, hey, what advice do you have for leaders this year? It's like, first and foremost, this is the year where you really need to be focused on taking care of yourself, making sure that that your gas tank is full, and that you're not running on empty and trying to lead while running on empty. That you're equipped to navigate the amount of change and uncertainty and unknowns that are going to be presented to us this year. And lastly, that you have the ability through self-awareness to know, are you operating at your best? Are you leveraging your strengths? Are you succumbing to some of your derailers or weaknesses? And with that self-awareness, then knowing what to do, right? Do I need to take a time out? Do I need to take a breath?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's so easy when we're under so much stress and pressure to lose that capacity to observe ourselves and to know, am I operating at my best right now? Mm-hmm. So those are the three areas that I would, double click on among the 7. It's resilience, navigating change, and our ability to be self-aware. And my recommendation is that we really make an investment in those 3 areas in particular, no matter what sector, size of business, where you are in the world. Those are the 3 that we think are really, really important right now.
Jonathan, I will tell you, I think that everyone that's watching and listening this podcast, that will watch and listen to this podcast, is shaking their heads, agreeing 100% with you on absolutely what are the challenges that we're facing. Every one of those, I've clicked them off, okay? And then you're right. We went through this period during the pandemic where we didn't take care of ourselves for a lot of good reasons and all the issues that we're facing as a country. And we rushed back to doing business. We rushed back to office. We rushed back to traveling. We rushed back. And now you can tell, and know the people that I visit with on a regular basis, the 7 that you mentioned, the 4 that you called out and highlighted, I think the majority of us can say, Jonathan, you're right. That's exactly where I'm at today, and most of us, and we can admit that. Now, what's so unique, everyone, about this company? You've heard the CEO, the founder, lay out but through the subject matter experts that they have surrounded themselves with, and the unique deepness of information this company has on this. Now, this is just the foundation. And what I'd like, Jonathan, you to do is begin to talk about your company now, because you have some very uniquenesses in what the company that you developed around your passion to help people. And so again, let me remind our viewers, this is one of 4 podcasts. We're going to continue to build out this. Jonathan is setting the stage, the foundation for us. So Jonathan, talk about now as your company, and you said you work with global leaders. These are some of the best leaders with most responsibility globally. There's some of these companies. I'm aware of many of the companies that Jonathan and his team works with. There's some of the best companies and brands in the world. You would know them. If we were to tell you some of those, you would recognize many of those. So Jonathan, walk us through now some of your uniquenesses. Okay?
Yeah. Well, I think the probably the first one I would start with is actually our name, Andy, which is AIR.
Yeah.
Not to be misspelled. So AIIR is actually it's an acronym for our process for change. So it stands for assessment, insight, implementation, reinforcement. And so, Andy, if we were working together in the capacity of coach, coachee, I'd first and foremost want to understand through a good assessment, like what do we need to work on? What are the target behaviors we need to focus on? And then, if I did that big assessment and I did a 360 or I did some psychometrics, I really got to know you. I could have just deliver that data. Here's your reports. I've got to find a way to extract the key insights and make meaning with you. We have to co-create that meaning so that it resonates and it creates this aha experience. And within that insight phase, right, if you do it right, it actually is part of the change process. It's not just information. The information is alive, and it actually becomes catalytic for change. But, even insight, alone is not enough, right? I mean, I'm sure we're all kind of familiar with going to inspirational, seminars or having an aha moment. If we don't commit and we don't translate it into action, then it's fleeting. And so our implementation phase involves creating an action plan, or what we call a strategic development plan, based on the assessment data and the insights. And we then execute on that through coaching sessions. And then one of the things that we then begin to really focus on is reinforcement. That's the final stage. So change is actually not so hard. It's not easy, but it's not so hard. It's sustaining the change. Right. That's really hard, right? That's what, in my view, sort of separates, people who are good from people who are excellent at this type of work. And so we're very conscious of reinforcement and sustaining change throughout the process, but particularly as we get to the end. So within that consulting, sort of that change framework, I would say this one of the singular most powerful things we do that could be attributed to our success in helping leaders elevate is helping a leader feel understood and known, right? And so that assessment phase is crucial for that, particularly something we call the developmental history interview, where we're really understanding, not just somebody through the lens of personality assessments and leadership assessments, but also like, hey, what was your family like? What was it like growing up? Tell us about your education in high school and college and your first job. What was it like the first time you were a manager? Really understanding an individual to the depth in which they feel understood and known is one of the most powerful things that we do. And by the way, it's one of the most powerful things we do as leaders as well. Mm-hmm. It's how we create deep connection. And so our methodology is one thing. The other thing I would point to, aside from our incredible talented coaches and consultants, which really should be number one on the list, the other thing I would point to, Andy, is our technology. And I was never the kid who like took the TV apart and tried to put it back together, or got the computer kit to make that. That was not me. I was watching the baseball game or going out and playing hockey or reading a book. But I've developed a passion for technology because I believe that technology can put an exponential factor on the impact that we have. So if we build the right technology or integrate the right technology with our human activity, it has the potential to really create a multiplier effect on what we're delivering. And so we spend a lot of time at AIIR being thoughtful in building coaching technology so that if I'm working with you, Andy, we're not just getting value in our synchronous interactions, but also asynchronously, you're able to work with our digital AI coach assistant, Aaron. You're able to read your coaching notes in between sessions, content that I might share with you or the system might push to you based on your specific development plan goals. And so we want to create as much as possible continuity in the development through a great technology experience. It'll never replace human coaches. I feel very passionate and confident in that, particularly because of what I shared earlier about feeling understood. Technology just can't do it. No matter how great AI will be, you will not be able to replicate the experience of feeling understood by somebody else and the catalytic change motivation that results in that experience. Nevertheless, as an augment to the human capabilities, we think technology is really important. And so that would probably be our second differentiator at AIIR.
Right. Well, all right. So you've heard Jonathan lay out how we feel, the biggest issues that we're facing, how that's affecting us. You've now heard Jonathan talk about some of the uniquenesses in AIIR's company and around the coaching method, the technology that is used, and then he talked about some of his team. And I will tell you, you're going to get to meet in the upcoming podcasts some of this team. They're amazing. I had the opportunity to spend a couple of days in Philadelphia at his office, his home office, and meet many of the people that you're going to meet. And I will tell you, they're unbelievable subject matter experts, Jonathan. Some of the greatest team, and so you're going to, and we'll talk about that more in a bit. So you now, I hope you're beginning to understand this great company. I hope this organization, and hear the founder's heart and mind, his passion in order to help people, and how he's laid this out so well, Jonathan. So, Jonathan, what I'd like to do for our listeners and viewers is anything else we need to say. Then I would like to shift and give them a glance into what's coming, because what's coming is where, again, you will see Jonathan's vision, passion come to life through his team and his processes. So anything else our people that you want to share with our viewers, listeners?
One thought, Andy, because this is a podcast about, servant leadership, among other things. But I know that's a really important factor. And when you look at the data that I shared, there's a lot of skills related to leading self. And so you could easily misconstrue that as like, wait a minute, why would I be focused on myself? As a servant leader, I need to be focused on other. I need to be focused on coaching my people, leading a highly effective team, building trust, communicating really well, all of the dimensions that would fall under leading others. And it's true that we do need to have that focus. But if we don't have the emotional and psychic reservoirs, then we're going to fail at being servant leaders. And so it's this great sort of, irony that in order to be most effective at being a servant leader, I actually need to spend time caring for myself and really go into the gym and working on that resilience muscle. Right. Leadership is a full contact sport in some ways. Right. And especially this year, right, where we have over 50 elections coming up, and the magnitude of uncertainty going on in the macro. This is gonna be look, I hope it's an amazing year, but it may not be, and there might be some headwinds. And so we really need to take that time to invest in ourselves in order that we could be the best
Wow.
for our people.
That's so well said. Thank you, Jonathan. You're so right. What in my career, there's leaders that popped in my mind when you were talking, and about the impact that I had the opportunity to work with some great servant leaders and learn from them, lean into them, and hear them on a weekly, daily basis coach us. And I would tell you, Jonathan, every one of them talked about what you're talking about, how to care for ourselves, and the ability of self-aware and being able to navigate change. All those things were critical. But number one is take care of yourself. You said it, and we can't say it enough. You have to do that, and so powerful. Now, okay, episode 2. We'll just talk about episode 2. But episode 2 is, you've heard Jonathan talk about the state of leadership. I thought Jonathan, you did a great job shaping that, and we'll give your website and all that, because they can go and read much more about that in more detail. I thought you looked back really well. I think you shared really clearly the challenges that we're going to face as leaders and what skills are needed most in this year. That was great. I hope if you haven't taken notes along with this will be on our website, Jonathan's website, so it'll be there. So as we talk about episode 2, we're going to talk about today's leader. And Jonathan assembled again his top talent that you'll get to meet in his organization, that's going to walk us through the leadership framework, leading self, leading others, leading organization, and then the importance of leadership skills and all of that. So Jonathan, anything you want to say about episode 2, and then we'll just sort of outline the next couple of episodes.
Yeah, really excited about episode 2 because, we're going to cover leadership comprehensively.
Yeah.
So not just those 3 domains of leading self, leading others, and leading the organization, but also the 12 dimensions of leadership and the 45 skills. So there's 45 skills that roll up into those 12 dimensions. And so it's a really powerful recipe for, being a great leader. It's hard, if not impossible, to be a master of all 45. But part of our philosophy is like, you got to be proficient in the 45, but you also have to know, all right, of those 45, what are my 3 to 5 areas that are like superpowers? Right. And so I'm really excited to share with the audience the model itself and to stimulate thought around like, where am I really strong that I should know about and leverage, and where conversely might I be, on a relative basis, weaker, that might be a development opportunity. Right. So I'm excited for that.
Right. Okay. And then episode 3, you're going to talk about tomorrow's leader. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. What's that about? I'm interested.
I mean, tomorrow's leader might be, a robot coming off the floor of Tesla, or that might be, a leader leading half humans and half robots. Right. The world is rapidly changing. And so, we believe that there are going to be some different skills required when we get to that place where AI has reached its maturity, where we see robots alongside people working. There's going to be some different skills. So
absolutely
excited to look out a few years from now.
I just have to say this about AI. Today, I was able to recorded a podcast as a series, and my experts today are experts around AI. And actually, we have one of our 4 podcasts around AI, and the title of the podcast today was AI being authentic, and so we went into depth about the AI and how to protect your information and how to how AI works, and we went through all the details. So my other podcast, Doing Business in Bentonville, you can check that out on the AI. we may even share that with this too, because it's going to be very helpful into the AI.
Definitely checking that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then week 4, we're going to just put it all together, right? What we're going to do week 4, Jonathan. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think of that as consolidation.
Yeah.
We'll have talked about a lot, and let's bring together all these threads and discuss together, Andy, like, what are the common themes? What are some of the things that we should really take away? And then, frankly, if there's some Q&A, perhaps the audience would like to share some questions, areas of curiosity, I would love to engage in a Q&A session and also do a little less talking and hear from you, because you're the guru, Andy.
Oh, no. Well, I would definitely we'll work on that. I would love to get some questions for sure from the audience. But as you step back again from this process, I will tell you the thing that Jonathan said that I have by the way, I took 2 pages of notes today. Okay, Jonathan. So I just did that. And but the one where Jonathan started, and it's so important. You got to take care of yourself. That's what we're going to do the next 4 weeks. 4 episodes here. Is Jonathan and his team is going to lean in on that for you to help you be a better leader, help you be better at home, help you be better at business, help you be just a better individual, because we want his passion. You've seen it, you heard it, is take care of you. And he's built an organization to help you do that. So, Jonathan, this is so exciting. I don't know if I've been more excited about anything in a long time, that we're going to get to spend time together, my friend. So,
we're talking about leadership.
We're exactly doing that.
And it's
AIIR,
really
AIIR Consulting.com, right? And go check
AIIR Consulting.com.
Yeah. Go check it out. Look at the website. It's a great website. There's much more you can read on there. I'm recommending reading all about it. And one of the things that I don't know if I should let you go before I ask you this one last question, and I didn't prep you on this, but maybe I should.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Here's the question I have. Okay. 6 lessons from playing hockey. Okay. I read them. I loved it. It was so awesome. Give us a few of those lessons from playing hockey.
Yeah. Oh, the best lesson. So I play hockey.
Right.
I play hockey. I like to garden, and when the weather's right. And I love the barbecue. So those are my three passions outside of being with my family, playing with my kids. And so, Wayne Gretzky, who we should all hopefully know, said, don't just skate to the puck, skate to where the puck is going to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually one of the most powerful lessons for leaders. And if you play hockey or you watch hockey, you'll immediately notice, like, the best players, they have a sixth sense about where the puck is going to be. And I think the same is true for great leaders. By the way, the only way, it's not like it's a magical skill. It's not like, oh, he's a savant or she's a whiz. It's the ability. It's a skill. You have to be able to step back and see the big picture. Which, by the way, when you're dealing with this problem and you're putting out this fire, and you got a fire hose of email, and it's so easy to lose that big picture perspective. Now, you can't be completely removed of the fires. Like, you got to get in it, right?
Right.
But you got to be able to zoom in and zoom out. And so being able to see that big picture, that's the number one. The second lesson is shots on goal. Shots on goal. I played last night. We're like, guys, just get the shot on goal. If it goes in, great. If it doesn't go in, it's going to be a rebound. If he smothers it, then we have a face off in the zone. Shots on goal. If you don't take the shot,
Yeah.
And there's a lot, like, we get as leaders for great reasons, like hesitant to make a decision, overly cautious, and we don't take risk. We get like analysis paralysis, or just like, hey, I need to see more data. And nothing happens, right? So get those shots on goal. That would be my second.
I love it. I've been to 2 hockey games now. I've spent some time in the East. I have wonderful friends there, and I've been to 2 hockey games. I would tell you it's the most amazing thing I've ever been to. It's the fastest moving sport I've ever been to. I love it, and I would tell you I'm learning it. I'm reading about it, and I can see why you're so passionate about it. It's just a great sport. So thank you, Jonathan. Okay, everyone, what a great moment we've had here. This is just the beginning of where we're going to go with this series. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, for streaming in, and for watching us. Again, remember, I'm Andy Wilson. This is Servant Leadership Today. You've heard my friend Jonathan really begin to lay out what's ahead for us. So stay tuned. We'll be communicating with you. Don't forget to check out AIIR.com. And Jonathan, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today.
Thank you, Andy. It was a real pleasure. And I'm looking forward to episode 2.
Okay. All right. So am I. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you returning. I'm Andy Wilson. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.